One day, without knowing it, you will experience an ordinary moment for the final time, the final quiet morning, the final conversation with someone you love, the final chance to appreciate the life you once called incomplete. Most people recognize the beauty of their days only after those days become memories. Do not let that become your story. Happiness is not waiting somewhere in your future. It is hidden inside the moments you keep rushing through, and this audiobook will teach you how to finally see it. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for the future to give you permission to be happy. Many people spend their entire lives waiting for happiness to begin. They tell themselves they will finally feel peaceful when they earn more money, reach a certain goal, find the right person, move to a better place, or escape every problem. But the future keeps moving. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another appears, and happiness is delayed once again. This is how years disappear. You keep surviving today while believing that your real life will start tomorrow. But tomorrow is not guaranteed to arrive in the perfect form you imagine. There will always be another challenge, another responsibility, and another reason to wait. Happiness begins when you stop treating the present moment like an obstacle between you and a better life. You can still have ambitions, improve yourself, and work towards something greater. But you must stop believing that peace is only available after success. Look at what is already here. Notice the people who care about you, the progress you have made, the lessons your pain has taught you, and the simple moments you usually ignore. A quiet morning, a completed task, a sincere conversation, or a few minutes without pressure may look small, but these moments are the foundation of a happy life. Do not ask the future for permission to feel alive. Your life is happening now, and today deserves more than your constant waiting. Chapter 2. Your mind cannot find peace while it is addicted to problems. Some people believe they want peace, yet their minds have become so familiar with worry that calmness feels uncomfortable. Even when nothing is wrong, they search for something to fear, replay old mistakes, imagine future disasters, or examine every small situation until it becomes a serious problem. Their life may be quiet, but their mind refuses to stop fighting. This happens when overthinking becomes a habit. Your brain begins to believe that constant worry keeps you prepared and protected. But worrying about every possible outcome does not give you control. It only forces you to experience pain before anything has even happened. The problem-focused mind ignores what is working. One difficult conversation can make you forget 10 good moments. One mistake can make you question years of progress. One uncertain situation can convince you that your entire future is falling apart. You must train yourself to stop feeding every fearful thought. When a problem appears, ask whether it needs action now or whether your mind is simply creating noise. Solve what you can, accept what you cannot control, and refuse to turn uncertainty into suffering. Peace does not come when every problem disappears. It comes when you stop allowing every problem to occupy your entire mind. Your attention is valuable, and whatever receives it repeatedly becomes stronger. Stop feeding fear with endless thought and begin giving your mind permission to rest. Chapter 3. The thoughts you repeat become the emotional world you live in. Your mind is always listening to the words you repeat, especially the words you say about yourself. When you constantly think, "I am not good enough, nothing ever works for me, or my life will never improve," those thoughts do not remain harmless sentences. They slowly become beliefs, and those beliefs begin controlling how you feel, what you attempt, and what you expect from life. A repeated thought becomes a mental path. The more often you walk through it, the easier it becomes to return there. This is why one small disappointment can quickly awaken hundreds of painful memories. Your mind has been trained to connect the present moment with every failure from the past, but your thoughts are not always facts. Feeling unsuccessful does not mean you are a failure. Feeling alone does not mean nobody cares. Facing a difficult season does not mean your future has been destroyed. Pay attention to the story you tell yourself each day. When your mind produces a harmful thought, do not accept it immediately. Question it, correct it, and replace exaggeration with truth. Instead of saying, "I always ruin everything," remind yourself, "I made a mistake, but I can learn and respond differently." You cannot create a peaceful life while repeating thoughts that keep your heart under attack. Speak to yourself with the same patience you would offer someone you truly love. Your inner voice becomes the atmosphere of your life, so train it to guide you forward instead of constantly pulling you down. Chapter 4. Happiness begins when you stop resisting your present life. A great deal of unhappiness does not come from life itself. It comes from the constant argument you are having with life inside your mind. You look at your present situation and say, "This should not be happening. I should be further ahead. That person should not have left. I should have made a better decision. My life should look different by now." The event may have happened only once, but your resistance forces you to suffer through it repeatedly. There is an important difference between accepting your present life and giving up on your future. Acceptance does not mean you approve of everything that happened. It does not mean you must remain in a painful situation, tolerate disrespect, or abandon your goals. Acceptance simply means you stop wasting your strength fighting a reality that already exists. You look honestly at where you are, take responsibility for what you can change, and stop demanding that the past become different before you allow yourself to move forward. Imagine standing in heavy rain while shouting at the sky because you wanted sunshine. Your anger will not stop the rain. It will only make you colder, more exhausted, and less capable of finding shelter. The wiser response is to acknowledge the weather, protect yourself, and decide what to do next. Life works in the same way. Some seasons arrive without your permission. People change, opportunities disappear, plans fail, and unexpected responsibilities enter your life. Peace begins when you stop asking, "Why is reality refusing to obey me?" and start asking, "How can I respond wisely to the reality in front of me?" Many people are not living their actual lives. They are living inside a mental picture of how life was supposed to be. They compare their current reality with an imagined version of themselves who made no mistakes, suffered no delays, chose the perfect partner, found success earlier, and never lost anything important. Because reality cannot compete with this fantasy, they remain disappointed even when something good is happening around them. You may be sitting in a peaceful room, but your mind is somewhere else. It is replaying yesterday, chasing tomorrow, or comparing today with someone else's life. This is why you can possess many blessings and still feel emotionally empty. You are physically present, but your attention is absent. Happiness cannot grow in a moment you refuse to enter. Begin by noticing the language of resistance in your mind. Pay attention whenever you repeatedly say, "It is unfair," "It is too late," "This was not supposed to happen," or "I cannot be happy until this changes." Some of these feelings may be understandable, but when you repeat them endlessly, they become invisible walls. They convince you that peace is impossible in your present condition. Replace resistance with a stronger question. Ask yourself, what is this moment asking me to understand? Perhaps it is asking you to become patient. Perhaps it is showing you that a certain relationship has reached its end. Perhaps it is forcing you to develop discipline, courage, independence, or humility. A difficult season may not be the life you wanted, but it can still become the season that builds the person you need to become. You must also stop confusing emotional pain with personal failure. Sometimes life feels heavy because something meaningful has been lost. You do not need to pretend you are happy when your heart is hurting. Real acceptance allows you to feel sadness without allowing sadness to define your entire future. You can say, "This hurts, and I am still moving forward. I did not want this, but I will not let it destroy everything that remains." There is freedom in no longer needing every situation to match your expectations. You become calmer because delays no longer feel like the end of your story. Rejection no longer proves that you are worthless. A mistake no longer becomes evidence that you will always fail. You stop turning temporary circumstances into permanent identities. Acceptance also helps you see the choices that resistance was hiding. When you stop spending all your energy wishing things were different, You finally have energy to make them different. You can learn a new skill, leave an unhealthy environment, rebuild your routine, repair what can be repaired, or begin again with greater wisdom. Clear action becomes possible when emotional denial ends. Look around your life carefully. There are probably things you once prayed for that you now overlook because your mind has moved on to the next desire. There may be people who still care about you, abilities you have not fully used, opportunities that appear ordinary, and quiet moments you continue missing because they do not resemble the exciting future you imagined. Your present life may not contain everything you want, but it still contains something worth noticing. There is strength in your survival, wisdom in your mistakes, possibility in your unfinished journey, and beauty in moments that will never return in exactly the same form. Stop treating today as an enemy simply because it is not perfect. Work to improve what needs improvement, but do not insult the life you have while building the life you want. You can desire more without refusing to appreciate what already exists. You can heal from the past without living inside it. You can prepare for the future without sacrificing every peaceful moment in the present. Happiness begins when you release the demand that life must become different before you are allowed to breathe deeply, notice what is good, and feel alive. The moment you stop resisting reality, you recover the power to meet it. That is where peace begins, not in a flawless life, but in a mind that has finally stopped fighting every imperfect moment. Chapter 5. Never give another person control over your inner peace. One of the most dangerous ways to live is to make your emotional peace dependent on another person's behavior. When they speak kindly, you feel valuable. When they become distant, you feel rejected. When they reply quickly, you feel secure. When they remain silent, your mind begins creating painful explanations. Without realizing it, you hand someone the power to decide whether your day will feel peaceful or miserable. This does not mean you should stop caring about people. Love, friendship, family, and connection are important parts of life. The problem begins when your happiness becomes so attached to someone's attention that you can no longer feel complete without it. You begin studying their mood, waiting for their approval, and changing yourself to keep them pleased. Your emotional state starts rising and falling according to decisions you cannot control. When another person becomes the center of your inner world, even small changes in their behavior can feel like emergencies. A delayed message becomes proof that they are losing interest. A cold expression becomes evidence that you have done something wrong. One disagreement makes you fear that everything is about to end. Your mind becomes exhausted because it is constantly trying to predict, interpret, and control someone else. You may call this love, but often it is emotional dependence. Love allows two people to care for each other without losing themselves. Dependence makes one person feel responsible for keeping the other person emotionally alive. Love creates connection, while dependence creates fear. Love says, "I value your presence." Dependence says, "Without your presence, I have no value." Your inner peace cannot remain stable when it is built on someone else's changing feelings. People are human. They become tired, distracted, confused, disappointed, and emotionally unavailable. Their priorities may change. They may misunderstand you. They may fail to appreciate what you offer. Some may even walk away after promising they would remain. When your peace belongs to them, every change in their behavior becomes a threat to your identity. You must understand that another person's treatment of you does not always reveal your worth. Sometimes it reveals their maturity, emotional capacity, priorities, or character. Someone can fail to recognize your value without reducing it. A person can leave something precious simply because they were not prepared to protect it. Rejection hurts, but it is not always an accurate judgment of who you are. The need for approval often begins quietly. You want to be liked, understood, and accepted, so you begin adjusting yourself. You hide opinions that may disappoint someone. You tolerate behavior that makes you uncomfortable. You say yes when your heart is asking you to say no. You apologize for needs that are completely reasonable. Slowly, you become more concerned with keeping the relationship than keeping your self-respect. This is how people lose themselves. They do not lose everything in one dramatic moment. They lose themselves through hundreds of small betrayals. Each time they silence their truth to avoid conflict, ignore their pain to keep someone happy, or accept less than they deserve because they fear being alone, another part of their confidence disappears. Protecting your peace requires boundaries. A boundary is not punishment, revenge, or cruelty. It is a clear decision about what you will allow into your life and what you will no longer accept. It may mean refusing to participate in disrespectful conversations, stepping away from people who repeatedly disturb your stability, or declining demands that leave you emotionally empty. Some people will become uncomfortable when you establish boundaries because they benefited from your lack of them. They may call you selfish when you stop being endlessly available. They may accuse you of changing when you stop tolerating what once hurt you. Do not allow their reaction to convince you that your boundary is wrong. A healthy person may not always agree with your limits, but they will respect your right to have them. You are not required to explain yourself endlessly to someone determined to misunderstand you. You do not need to prove your pain to a person who repeatedly causes it. You do not need to keep offering access to your heart simply because someone has known you for a long time. History does not give anyone permanent permission to disturb your peace. There will be moments when protecting yourself feels lonely. You may miss the person you had to distance yourself from. You may remember the good memories and question whether you were too strict. This is where emotional strength becomes necessary. Missing someone does not always mean they belong in your life. Loving someone does not mean you must accept the way they treat you. You can care deeply and still recognize that closeness is costing you too much. Learn to separate your feelings from your decisions. Feelings tell you that you are attached, hurt, hopeful, or afraid. Decisions must consider what is healthy, respectful, and sustainable. You can feel the desire to return while still choosing not to reopen a door that repeatedly led to pain. Emotional maturity is not the absence of feeling. It is the ability to feel strongly without allowing every emotion to control your actions. Your peace also becomes vulnerable when you constantly compare yourself to others. Someone else receives more attention, praise, affection, or success, and suddenly you begin questioning your own value. You forget that comparison is usually built on incomplete information. You see what people display, but you do not see what they carry. You measure your private struggles against someone else's public highlights, and then punish yourself for falling behind. The more you seek validation from the outside world, the more unstable your confidence becomes. Praise gives you a temporary emotional high, while criticism sends you into self-doubt. Compliments make you feel attractive, while someone's indifference makes you feel invisible. This cycle continues until you build an identity that does not require constant confirmation. Begin asking yourself difficult but necessary questions. Who are you when nobody is praising you? What do you believe about yourself when someone rejects you? Can you remain proud of your progress when nobody notices it? Can you trust your decisions without collecting approval from everyone around you? Your answers reveal where your emotional power currently lives. Taking that power back requires daily practice. Stop checking repeatedly to see whether someone has responded. Stop interpreting every silence as rejection. Stop chasing people who have clearly chosen distance. Stop begging for clarity from someone whose inconsistent actions have already given you an answer. Observe behavior instead of becoming trapped by promises. Words can create hope, but patterns reveal truth. Someone may repeatedly tell you that they care, yet their actions leave you anxious, confused, and emotionally neglected. Do not keep sacrificing your peace to protect a beautiful image that their behavior does not support. You deserve relationships in which you do not have to question your importance every day. Healthy connection does not require perfection, but it should provide honesty, respect, effort, and emotional safety. There may still be disagreements and difficult periods, but you should not constantly feel as though you are fighting to earn basic care. At the same time, Protecting your peace does not mean becoming cold or avoiding all emotional risk. It does not mean assuming everyone will hurt you or refusing to trust again. A guarded heart may avoid pain, but it may also avoid love. The goal is not to build walls so high that nobody can reach you. The goal is to build doors you are wise enough to open carefully. Allow people to prove themselves through consistency. Give trust gradually instead of handing someone complete control over your emotions at the beginning. Keep your routines, goals, friendships, values, and personal identity even when you enter a close relationship. Do not make one person your entire source of joy, purpose, and support. A healthy life has many emotional foundations. It includes meaningful work, self-respect, personal growth, quiet reflection, supportive relationships, enjoyable routines, and goals that belong to you. When your whole world rests on one person, their absence can collapse everything. When your happiness has several strong foundations, loss may still hurt, but it will not completely destroy you. You must also learn not to personalize everything. Someone's bad mood is not always about you. Their silence may come from exhaustion, pressure, or something they have not shared. Constantly assuming responsibility for every emotional change around you creates unnecessary anxiety. You begin trying to repair problems that may not even belong to you. Ask instead of assuming. Listen without immediately blaming yourself. Give people space without using that space to invent painful stories. Emotional peace grows when you stop treating uncertainty as proof of rejection. There will also be people who intentionally provoke you because they know your reactions give them power. They criticize you, disrespect you, or mention sensitive subjects simply to pull you into conflict. Every time you react immediately, they gain control over your attention and energy. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding requires correction. Not every accusation needs a defense. Sometimes silence is not weakness. It is a refusal to place your peace inside a pointless argument. You can know the truth about yourself without convincing everyone else to see it. Before reacting, pause and ask, will responding improve this situation, or will it only drag me deeper into someone else's chaos? This pause creates distance between the event and your emotion. Inside that distance, you recover the power to choose. You cannot control what people say about you, but you can control how long their words remain inside your mind. You cannot prevent every betrayal, but you can choose whether betrayal will become your permanent identity. You cannot force someone to appreciate you, but you can stop begging them to recognize what they have repeatedly ignored. Forgiveness can also protect your peace, but forgiveness does not always require reconciliation. You can release hatred without restoring access. You can stop carrying anger while still remembering the lesson. Forgiveness means you no longer want the injury to control your future. It does not mean pretending the injury never happened. Holding resentment may feel like a way of punishing the person who hurt you, but most of the punishment remains inside you. You replay the betrayal, imagine arguments, and carry their actions into moments they are no longer present to witness. They may have caused the original pain, but repeated resentment allows them to continue controlling your emotional life. Release what you can, not because their behavior was acceptable, but because your mind deserves freedom. Let the experience teach you without allowing it to poison every new connection. One person's dishonesty should not force every honest person to pay the price. The deepest form of peace comes when you understand that your value cannot be created or removed by another human being. Attention does not make you worthy. Abandonment does not make you worthless. Praise does not complete you, and criticism does not erase everything you have become. You are responsible for building a relationship with yourself that remains steady when others change. Keep promises to yourself, speak to yourself respectfully, protect your time, honor your values. Walk away from environments that repeatedly force you to become smaller. The more you trust yourself, the less desperately you will cling to people. You will no longer fear every ending because you know you can survive disappointment. You will no longer accept disrespect to avoid loneliness because your own company will no longer feel like punishment. People should add warmth, meaning and companionship to your life, but they should never become the owner of your emotional state. Love them without surrendering yourself. Support them without abandoning your needs. Listen to them without allowing their opinions to become the final definition of who you are. Your peace is one of the most valuable things you possess. Do not exchange it for temporary attention, inconsistent affection, or the approval of someone who only values you when you are easy to control. The moment you stop asking other people to decide whether you are enough, something inside you becomes free. You begin choosing relationships from strength instead of fear. You stop chasing, begging, proving, and performing. You learn that real happiness is not found in being constantly chosen by others. It is found in refusing to abandon yourself whenever someone else fails to choose you. Chapter 6. Learn to create joy instead of waiting for it to arrive. Many people spend years waiting for happiness to appear as if it were a visitor who might knock on their door one day. They believe joy will arrive when they earn more money, meet the right person, achieve an important goal, travel somewhere beautiful, or finally escape every difficulty. Until then, they continue moving through life with the quiet belief that today is only preparation for a happier future. But happiness rarely enters your life in one dramatic moment and remains forever. Even the achievement you desperately wanted will eventually become normal. The new home will become familiar, the exciting opportunity will become a responsibility, and the person who once made your heart race will become part of your ordinary routine. This does not make those things meaningless. It simply proves that lasting joy cannot depend entirely on something new happening outside you. If you continue waiting for life to surprise you, you will remain emotionally powerless. You will wake up asking, what will happen today that might make me feel good? But a stronger question is, what can I intentionally create today that will make this life feel worth living? Joy is not only an emotion you experience, it is also an environment you build, a habit you practice, and a way of paying attention. It begins when you stop expecting every day to entertain you and start becoming an active participant in your own emotional well-being. Consider how often you overlook small moments because they do not appear important enough. You drink something you enjoy without tasting it because your mind is busy worrying. You walk beneath an open sky without looking up because you are staring at a screen. You sit beside someone you love while thinking about a person who is absent. You complete a difficult task but immediately focus on everything still unfinished. The moments were available, but your attention was somewhere else. A joyful life is not made only from extraordinary experiences. It is built from ordinary moments that you learn to experience fully. The warmth of morning sunlight, the silence after finishing your work, the relief of entering a clean room, the sound of someone you love laughing, or the satisfaction of keeping a promise to yourself may look small, but life itself is mostly made of such moments. When you keep waiting for something greater, you train your mind to disrespect what is already present. You become emotionally blind to simple goodness because you are searching for a perfect feeling. Yet perfect moments are rare, while meaningful moments are available almost every day. Creating joy begins with understanding what genuinely restores you. Many people cannot answer this because they have spent so much time pleasing others, following trends, and chasing approval that they no longer know what brings them peace. They know what looks impressive, what receives praise, and what other people expect from them, but they have lost connection with their own inner life. Ask yourself what makes you feel quietly alive rather than temporarily distracted. There is an important difference. Distraction helps you avoid yourself for a moment, while real joy helps you return to yourself with more energy. Endless scrolling may numb your thoughts, but it often leaves you restless afterward. Meaningful conversation, movement, creativity, learning, or time in nature may require more effort, but they leave you emotionally fuller. You must learn to notice the difference between pleasure that consumes you and joy that strengthens you. Some activities give quick stimulation, but create emptiness when they end. Others may seem simple, yet they leave behind peace, confidence, gratitude, or connection. The more you understand this difference, the better you become at choosing what your mind truly needs. Create a personal list of experiences that restore you. It might include reading, walking, cooking, organizing your environment, listening to music, writing, exercising, learning something new, helping someone, spending time in silence, or speaking to a person who brings honesty and calm into your life. Do not dismiss an activity because it appears too ordinary. Joy does not need to look impressive from the outside. It only needs to make your inner life healthier. Many people also wait to feel motivated before doing something enjoyable. They say, "I do not feel like going outside. I do not feel like calling anyone. I do not feel like working on my hobby." Then they remain in the same place, thinking the same thoughts and hoping their mood will improve by itself. But emotion often follows action. You may not feel energetic before moving your body, but movement can create energy. You may not feel peaceful before cleaning your room, but order can produce calm. You may not feel connected before reaching out, but one sincere conversation can soften an entire day. Do not always wait for your mood to lead you. Sometimes you must act first and allow your feelings to catch up. This is especially important during difficult seasons. When sadness becomes heavy, the mind often says, "Nothing will help, so there is no reason to try." You withdraw from people, stop doing what once strengthened you, neglect your routine, and then interpret your growing emptiness as proof that happiness is impossible. This creates a painful cycle. The worse you feel, the less you do. The less you do, the worse you feel. Breaking this cycle does not require a dramatic transformation. It requires one small act of participation. Open the curtains, take a shower, step outside, prepare a proper meal, complete one simple responsibility, speak to someone safe. These actions may not create instant happiness, but they remind you that you still have influence over your emotional direction. Joy often returns quietly through small doors. You must also stop believing that you need permission to enjoy your life. Some people feel guilty whenever they experience happiness during a difficult period. They think they must remain sad because someone they love is struggling, because an important problem has not been solved, or because they have not yet earned the right to relax. But your suffering does not repair another person's suffering. Refusing to smile does not solve your problems faster. Resting does not mean you have become irresponsible. Enjoying one peaceful moment does not mean you have forgotten what matters. You can care deeply about serious things and still allow yourself to breathe. You can carry responsibility without turning your entire life into punishment. Joy is not disrespectful to pain. Sometimes it is what gives you enough strength to continue facing it. There will always be something unfinished. There will always be someone doing better, another goal to pursue, another uncertainty to solve, and another reason to postpone enjoyment. If you decide you can only feel happy after everything is settled, happiness will remain permanently delayed. Learn to place moments of joy inside your responsibilities instead of waiting until every responsibility disappears. Play music while you complete a routine task. Take a short walk after focused work. Prepare a meal with care instead of eating while rushing. Create a calm evening ritual that tells your mind the day is slowing down. You do not need to escape your life to enjoy it. You need to bring more presence into the life you already have. Your environment also influences your emotions more than you may realize. A cluttered, dark, noisy, or neglected space can quietly increase mental heaviness. You may think you need a completely different home or a more luxurious life, but often a few intentional changes can make your surroundings feel more supportive. Clean one area. Remove objects that create unnecessary stress. Allow natural light into the room. Place something meaningful where you can see it. Create a small corner where you can read, think, pray, write, or rest without interruption. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to send your mind a message that your daily experience matters. When you take care of your surroundings, you are not simply arranging objects. You are shaping the emotional atmosphere in which your thoughts live. A peaceful space cannot solve every internal struggle, but it can stop adding unnecessary pressure to an already tired mind. Joy also grows through anticipation. Having something small to look forward to can change the emotional shape of an ordinary week. It does not need to be expensive or extraordinary. You can plan a peaceful morning, a favorite meal, a visit, a walk, a personal project, or an evening without screens. Anticipation gives your mind a positive direction. Instead of constantly expecting difficulty, you begin remembering that something pleasant is also approaching. However, you must be careful not to turn joy into another performance. In the age of constant sharing, people sometimes stop experiencing moments and start producing them for an audience. They choose places, activities, and even relationships based on how impressive they will appear rather than how meaningful they truly feel. A moment can look beautiful online and still feel empty in reality. Another moment can appear ordinary to everyone else and still become one of the most peaceful memories of your life. Not every joy needs to be displayed. Some experiences become more valuable when they remain private. A quiet achievement, a personal routine, an honest conversation, or a simple day spent with someone you love does not need public approval to be real. Learn to enjoy your life even when nobody is watching. This is a powerful form of freedom because it separates happiness from attention. You stop asking whether something looks exciting and begin asking whether it feels meaningful. You stop needing others to confirm that you are having a good life. Gratitude is another way of creating joy, but it must be understood correctly. Gratitude does not mean forcing yourself to pretend everything is wonderful. It means refusing to allow what is painful to erase everything that is still valuable. When the mind is distressed, it becomes highly selective. It notices what is missing, what went wrong, who disappointed you, and what might fail next. It can ignore 100 stable things because one situation feels uncertain. Gratitude corrects this imbalance by deliberately returning your attention to what pain has pushed into the background. You might be grateful for the body that still carries you, the person who continues to check on you, the knowledge you gained through difficulty, the opportunity to begin again, or the simple fact that this day still contains choices. Gratitude does not remove ambition. It prevents ambition from becoming permanent dissatisfaction. You can appreciate your current progress while continuing to grow. You can be thankful for what you have without pretending you do not want more. The happiest people are not always those who possess the most. They are often the ones who have trained themselves to experience what they possess before chasing the next thing. Joy also grows when you become useful. There is a deep form of happiness that appears when your presence makes someone else's life lighter. Helping does not need to be dramatic. You can listen without interrupting, encourage someone who is losing hope, teach what you know, offer practical support, or simply treat a tired person with kindness. When you focus only on your own emotional state, every small discomfort becomes larger. But when you contribute to something beyond yourself, your perspective expands. You remember that you are not merely waiting for life to serve you. You are capable of adding goodness to it. This does not mean exhausting yourself for everyone. Giving without boundaries creates resentment. The purpose is not to abandon yourself while helping others. It is to recognize that meaningful contribution can create a satisfaction that entertainment alone cannot provide. Another source of joy is progress. Human beings often feel alive when they can see themselves becoming more capable. You do not need to master something immediately. The act of learning, practicing, and improving can make life feel fresh again. Choose something that challenges you without overwhelming you. Learn a language, improve your health, practice a skill, read deeply, build something, or return to an interest you abandoned. Progress creates evidence that your life is still moving. Without growth, even comfort can become dull. A life with no challenge may feel safe, but it can also feel empty. Joy sometimes requires effort, because effort awakens abilities that have been sleeping inside you. Celebrate small progress. Do not wait until the final result to respect your effort. Every time you return after failure, practice when motivation is low, or understand something that once confused you. You are becoming someone stronger. Joy does not only come from winning, it also comes from witnessing your own growth. You must also protect yourself from habits that constantly drain your emotional energy. You cannot build happiness while feeding your mind endless negativity. The conversations you repeat, the content you consume, and the people you spend time with influence what becomes normal inside you. If every conversation is filled with complaints, criticism, fear, and gossip, your mind will begin carrying emotions that do not even belong to your own life. If you constantly consume information designed to provoke anger or anxiety, peace will feel increasingly difficult. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing how much negativity deserves access to you. Stay informed without becoming emotionally flooded. Care about problems without making your mind a permanent home for them. Protecting joy requires limits. You may need to spend less time with people who turn every moment into something negative. You may need to stop following accounts that make you dislike your life. You may need to create periods in your day when no outside voice is allowed to enter your mind. Silence can be a source of joy because it gives you space to hear yourself again. Some people fear silence because it reveals the thoughts they have been avoiding. They keep noise around them constantly because stillness feels uncomfortable. But once you learn to remain with yourself without immediately escaping, silence becomes peaceful rather than threatening. Sit quietly for a few minutes. Breathe slowly. Allow thoughts to pass without following every one of them. You do not need to solve anything. You are teaching your nervous system that it is safe to be still. Joy is not always excitement. Sometimes it is the absence of pressure. Sometimes it is a quiet mind, a relaxed body, and the feeling that you do not need to prove anything in this moment. You must define happiness for yourself. Society may tell you that happiness looks like wealth, popularity, constant travel, romantic success, or public achievement. But someone can possess all of these things and still feel deeply empty. Your version of happiness may be simpler. It may be freedom over your time, meaningful work, a peaceful home, good health, honest relationships, spiritual depth, or the ability to wake without dreading your own life. Do not build a life that looks successful but feels unbearable. Do not chase an image of happiness that requires you to become disconnected from yourself. Creating joy means designing your days around what you genuinely value. Your schedule reveals your real priorities. You may say peace matters, but if every hour is filled with pressure, noise, and obligation, your life is not supporting that value. You may say relationships matter, but if you never give people your full attention, connection will remain shallow. Make space for what matters before less important things consume all your time. This may require saying no. Every yes carries a cost. When you agree to something you do not have the energy or desire to do, you are often saying no to rest, focus, or time with people who matter more. You cannot create a joyful life while making every decision from guilt. Some people will always want more access to your time. Some responsibilities are necessary, but not every request is an obligation. Choose carefully. Your time is the material from which your life is built. You must accept that creating joy will not eliminate sadness. There will be days when your best efforts do not lift your mood. You may follow your routine, speak kindly to yourself, go outside, and still feel heavy. This does not mean you have failed. Happiness is not the permanent absence of painful emotion. It is the ability to create enough meaning, strength, and support that pain does not become the whole story. On difficult days, lower the expectation. Do not demand that you feel amazing. Aim to make the day slightly gentler. Eat properly. Rest without guilt. Avoid decisions made from temporary emotion. Complete one necessary task and allow that to be enough. Sometimes creating joy means choosing excitement. At other times, it means reducing suffering. The most important shift is to stop seeing yourself as someone waiting to be rescued by a better day. You are not completely powerless over your emotional life. You may not control every circumstance, but you can influence what you focus on, what you create, what you consume, where you spend your time, and how you care for yourself. You can build rituals that calm you, relationships that strengthen you, goals that inspire you, and spaces that help you breathe. You can become more attentive to beauty, more grateful for ordinary moments, and more courageous about protecting what gives your life meaning. Do not wait for happiness to arrive with perfect circumstances. Create one reason to smile, one reason to feel proud, one reason to feel connected, and one reason to look forward to tomorrow. A joyful life is not something you suddenly discover at the end of a long search. It is something you slowly construct through the way you treat each day. The future may bring beautiful surprises, but today should not depend on them. You are already standing inside a part of your life that will one day become a memory. Do not let it pass unnoticed while waiting for another moment to feel more important. Create joy where you are. Create it through attention, movement, gratitude, purpose, connection, growth, and rest. Create it even when life is unfinished. Create it not because everything is perfect, but because your life is happening now and you have finally decided to participate in it. Chapter 7. Without purpose, even a comfortable life can feel empty. There are people who have everything they once believed would make them happy. They have a safe place to live, enough food, modern comforts, entertainment, and fewer responsibilities than many others. Yet when they wake up in the morning, they still feel a quiet emptiness they cannot explain. Nothing appears terribly wrong, but nothing feels deeply meaningful either. Their days pass comfortably, yet their hearts remain unsatisfied. This happens because comfort and fulfillment are not the same thing. Comfort can relax your body, but purpose gives direction to your mind. Comfort can remove difficulty, but purpose gives you a reason to face difficulty. You can live without much pressure and still feel lost because human beings do not only need pleasure, they need to feel that their lives are moving towards something that matters. When your days have no meaningful direction, your mind begins creating unnecessary battles. You overthink small conversations, become emotionally affected by minor problems, compare yourself constantly, and search for excitement through distractions. A small inconvenience feels enormous because there is nothing greater holding your attention. Without a mission, every passing emotion begins to feel like the most important thing in your life. Purpose changes the size of your problems. It does not make difficulties disappear, but it places them inside a larger picture. When you know what you are building, one bad day does not convince you that your life is meaningless. When you know why you are working, temporary exhaustion does not feel like pointless suffering. When you have something valuable to move toward, you become less controlled by boredom, criticism, and emotional uncertainty. Many people misunderstand purpose because they imagine it must be one extraordinary calling that changes the world. They wait for a powerful moment when everything will suddenly become clear. They believe purpose must look like fame, leadership, wealth, influence, or a talent so special that everyone notices it. But purpose is often much quieter than that. Your purpose may begin with becoming emotionally stronger so you can stop passing your pain to the people around you. It may be raising your children with wisdom, supporting your family, improving your health, mastering a useful skill, serving your community, creating honest work, or becoming someone others can rely on. Purpose does not need public applause. It only needs to give your effort meaning. You do not find purpose only by asking, "What will make me successful?" You find it by asking, "What is worth becoming better for? What responsibility deserves my strength? What problem am I willing to help solve? What kind of person would make me proud when I look back at my life?" These questions lead you away from shallow excitement and toward meaningful direction. A person without purpose often lives according to mood. When they feel motivated, they take action. When motivation disappears, everything stops. They have no deeper reason to continue because their behavior depends entirely on emotion. This makes progress unstable. They begin projects with excitement, abandon them when difficulty arrives, and then lose confidence in themselves. Purpose gives you a reason to act even when your feelings are not cooperating. You may not feel like studying, exercising, creating, working, healing, or rebuilding, but you remember why the effort matters. That reason pulls you forward when temporary motivation cannot. Motivation says, "I will do this," while it feels exciting. Purpose says, "I will continue because the result matters." There will always be days when your energy is low, your progress is slow, and the reward feels far away. In those moments, purpose becomes a form of emotional strength. It reminds you that one difficult day does not cancel your direction. It gives you the patience to keep planting seeds before there is visible evidence that anything is growing. Without purpose, free time can become dangerous. You may imagine that having nothing to do will bring peace, but too much unstructured time often creates restlessness. The mind begins searching for stimulation. You scroll endlessly, consume information you do not need, revisit old wounds, check whether others are giving you attention, or create drama simply to feel something. This is why some people become unhappier after reaching the comfort they once desired. They removed the struggle, but they did not replace it with meaning. They escaped pressure without choosing direction. Their life became easier, but not deeper. You need something worthy of your attention. Your mind is going to focus somewhere. If you do not give it a meaningful goal, it will attach itself to fear, comparison, gossip, regret, or temporary pleasure. Purpose protects your attention by giving it somewhere constructive to go. This does not mean every hour must be productive. Rest is necessary. Joy is necessary. Time with people you love is necessary. But rest feels different when it supports a meaningful life. It becomes recovery rather than escape. You rest because you are restoring your strength, not because you are hiding from everything you know you should face. A life without purpose often produces a strange kind of tiredness. You may not have done much, yet you feel mentally exhausted. This is because aimlessness creates its own burden. When you do not know what deserves your time, every option competes for your attention. You start many things, finish few, and carry the weight of all the decisions you continue avoiding. Direction reduces this confusion. When you know what matters most, many choices become easier. You stop saying yes to every invitation, chasing every opportunity, and comparing yourself with people walking in completely different directions. You learn that a meaningful life requires exclusion. You cannot give your best energy to everything. Choosing a purpose means deciding what deserves more of you and what deserves less. If your health matters, some habits must lose access to your time. If your family matters, some distractions must become less important. If you want to build something valuable, you must become comfortable with missing activities that do not support it. Purpose demands sacrifice, but sacrifice feels different when you understand what it is protecting. You are already sacrificing something every day. When you choose endless comfort, you sacrifice growth. When you choose distraction, you sacrifice attention. When you choose fear, you sacrifice possibility. When you choose everyone else's approval, you sacrifice your own direction. The question is not whether you will sacrifice. The question is whether your sacrifices are building a life you respect. Many people say they want purpose, but what they truly want is the reward of purpose without the responsibility. They want confidence without discipline, achievement without patience, influence without service, and progress without discomfort. But purpose is not merely a beautiful idea. It is a commitment that asks something from you. It asks you to show up when nobody is watching. It asks you to continue when praise disappears. It asks you to learn from failure instead of using failure as permission to quit. It asks you to become more reliable than your emotions, The joy created by purpose is not always the joy of ease. Sometimes it is the deeper satisfaction of knowing that you did something difficult because it mattered. It is the pride of completing what you once avoided, supporting someone who needed you, or developing an ability you did not believe you possessed. There is happiness in comfort, but there is another kind of happiness in capability. When you become stronger, wiser, more disciplined, and more useful, you gain a sense of dignity that temporary pleasure cannot provide. You begin trusting yourself because you have evidence that you can face discomfort and continue. This is why growth is essential to happiness. A life that never challenges you may eventually stop inspiring you. Human beings need the feeling that they are becoming more than they were. When there is no growth, each day begins to resemble the last, and time starts passing without leaving anything meaningful behind. Growth does not require constant dramatic achievement. It can happen through small daily improvements. You read a few pages, practice a skill, manage your emotions better, complete a responsibility, or make one healthier choice. Each action seems small, but together they create momentum. Momentum gives life energy. You wake up knowing that your effort is connected to something. You begin seeing yourself not as a person trapped by the past, but as someone actively becoming stronger. Purpose also changes how you experience pain. Pain without meaning feels unbearable because it appears to be suffering for nothing. But when difficulty is connected to something valuable, you can carry more than you imagined. A parent loses sleep because caring for a child matters. A student accepts frustration because learning creates opportunity. An athlete endures discomfort because strength requires training. A person healing from emotional pain faces difficult truths because freedom is more valuable than denial. The pain remains real, but its meaning changes. Ask yourself what pain you are already carrying. Are you carrying the pain of discipline or the pain of regret? The discomfort of honest change or the discomfort of remaining trapped? The loneliness of walking away from the wrong people or the emptiness of staying where you are not respected? You cannot build a life without discomfort. You can only choose which discomfort is taking you somewhere worthwhile. Purpose gives you the courage to choose the pain that builds you. Sometimes you lose your sense of direction because your old purpose has ended. A job finishes, a relationship changes, children grow up, a dream no longer fits who you have become, or the identity you built your life around disappears. Suddenly, you no longer know what to do with yourself. This can feel frightening because the role gave structure to your days. Without it, you may feel as if a part of you has vanished. But the ending of one purpose does not mean your life has lost all meaning. It may mean you are entering a season in which a new direction must be created. You are allowed to change. The purpose that guided you 10 years ago may not be the purpose that guides you now. Growth sometimes requires releasing an identity that once protected you but now keeps you limited. Do not force yourself to remain loyal to an old dream simply because you invested time in it. Time is not wasted if it taught you something, strengthened you, or showed you what you no longer want. You can respect a past chapter without living inside it forever. A new purpose may begin as curiosity rather than certainty. You might feel drawn toward learning something, helping a certain group of people, creating a project, or changing how you live. Do not ignore that quiet interest simply because it does not yet look like a complete plan. Direction often becomes clear through movement. You take one step, learn from it, and then see the next step more clearly. People who wait for complete certainty often remain stuck because certainty usually grows after action, not before it. Begin with what is available. Use the skills you already have. Solve one problem. Help one person. Improve one part of your life. Purpose does not always appear as a sudden revelation. Sometimes it is constructed through repeated acts of responsibility. You may also discover purpose by paying attention to what deeply affects you. Which problems make you wish someone would do something? Which experiences have taught you lessons that could help another person? What kind of work makes you lose track of time? What do people naturally ask you for help with? Your pain may contain clues. A person who experienced loneliness may become capable of understanding others deeply. Someone who struggled to learn may become a patient teacher. A person who rebuilt after failure may develop the courage to guide others through their own setbacks. Your wounds do not automatically become purpose, but they can become wisdom when you heal enough to use them constructively. Do not believe that your difficult experiences have made you useless. The chapter that nearly broke you may have developed qualities you could not have gained through comfort. It may have taught you patience, empathy, discernment, courage, or independence. These qualities can become part of what you offer the world. But be careful not to use purpose as another way to avoid your emotions. Some people remain constantly busy because silence would force them to face themselves. They build, work, help, and achieve, but underneath their activity is fear. They are not moving toward meaning, they are running from pain. Healthy purpose does not require you to destroy yourself. It does not demand that you ignore your body, abandon your relationships, or measure your worth only through output. When your purpose becomes another source of self-hatred, you have lost balance. You are a human being, not a machine created only to produce. Your value exists even on days when your productivity is low. Purpose should give your life direction, not turn your life into endless pressure. Rest must remain part of your direction. Joy must remain part of your direction. Connection must remain part of your direction. A meaningful life is not one in which you work until nothing is left of you. It is one in which your effort, values, health, and relationships support one another. You should also separate purpose from recognition. If your motivation disappears whenever nobody notices your work, you may be chasing attention more than meaning. The world may not applaud what you are building. Some of your most valuable contributions may happen privately. You may support someone who never tells others what you did. You may create work that takes years to be recognized. You may become a kinder, calmer person without receiving any public reward. You may raise a family, keep a promise, or help one person avoid a mistake. These things still matter. A meaningful life is not measured only by how many people know your name. It is measured by the quality of the impact you leave in the places your life touches. You do not need to reach millions of people to have purpose. You need to become present for the responsibilities already in front of you. There may be someone in your life who needs your patience. There may be work that needs your full attention. There may be a promise you made to yourself that needs to be honored. Meaning often hides inside ordinary duties that people ignore while searching for something grand. The way you perform small responsibilities shapes the person you become. If you cannot respect a small task, a bigger opportunity will not automatically make you disciplined. If you continually abandon simple commitments, an important mission will not suddenly make you reliable. Purpose grows through the way you treat what is already in your hands. Do the ordinary work with care. Keep your word. Arrive when you said you would. Complete what you begin. Give people your attention when they speak. These actions may not feel exciting, but they build character, and character is what allows you to carry a larger purpose without being destroyed by it. Your purpose should be connected to values, not only goals. A goal has an ending. You reach a number, finish a project, earn a qualification, or arrive at a destination. A value continues guiding you after the goal is complete. You might value learning, courage, service, honesty, creativity, family, health, or spiritual depth. These values can shape countless goals throughout your life. When one goal ends, the value remains and helps you choose another direction. For example, the goal may be to complete a book, but the value is creativity. The goal may be to improve your fitness, but the value is health and self-respect. The goal may be to support a loved one through a difficult year, but the value is loyalty. When your purpose is connected to values, setbacks do not completely destroy it. A plan may fail, but you can still live courageously. One opportunity may disappear, but you can still create. A relationship may end, but you can still live with honesty and compassion. Values keep your life meaningful even when specific outcomes remain uncertain. It is also important to stop borrowing another person's purpose. You may see someone succeeding in business, art, education, or public influence and assume their path must be your path. You imitate their routine, ambitions, and definition of success, but deep inside, none of it feels like yours. Comparison can make you abandon what suits you in order to chase what impresses you. Not every successful life would make you happy. Some opportunities come with responsibilities, pressure, and sacrifices you may not want. You must be honest about the kind of life you are willing to build, not simply the image you want others to admire. Your purpose should fit your values, strengths, responsibilities, and season of life. It does not need to resemble anyone else's journey. Two people can live completely different lives and both be deeply fulfilled because each is aligned with what matters to them. Stop asking whether your direction looks impressive. Ask whether it makes you more alive, responsible, and useful. Purpose also requires patience because meaningful things take time. The modern world trains you to expect immediate results. You post something and wait for reactions. You begin a habit and expect transformation within days. You work for a short period and become discouraged when success does not arrive quickly. But most valuable things grow invisibly before they become visible. Roots form beneath the soil before anything appears above it. Skills improve through repetition long before confidence arrives. Trust is built through many small actions. Character develops in moments nobody celebrates. You must learn to respect invisible progress. The day you chose discipline over distraction mattered, even if nobody noticed. The hour you practiced mattered, even if the result was imperfect. The boundary you kept mattered, even if it felt uncomfortable. The mistake you learned from mattered, even if it slowed you down. Purpose teaches you to value the process because the process is transforming you before the reward appears. Do not allow slow results to convince you that nothing is happening. You may be building patience, resilience, focus, and emotional strength. These qualities are not always immediately visible, but they will influence every future opportunity you receive. Sometimes the greatest result of pursuing a goal is not the goal itself. It is the person you become while pursuing it. There will be failure. A meaningful direction does not protect you from disappointment. In fact, the more something matters, the more painful failure may feel. But failure becomes dangerous only when you turn it into a final identity. You attempted something and it did not work. That is an event, not a definition of your worth. You made a poor decision. That is information, not proof that you are incapable. You lost time, money, confidence, or an opportunity. The loss is real, but it does not erase your ability to begin again with greater knowledge. Purpose allows you to use failure rather than worship it. You examine what happened, take responsibility, adjust your strategy, and return wiser. You stop asking, "What is wrong with me?" and begin asking, "What must I learn before the next attempt?" Every person who builds something meaningful eventually meets the part of the journey where excitement disappears and difficulty becomes real. This is where many people turn back. They were attracted to the image of success, but unprepared for the repetition required to create it. You must decide whether your reason is strong enough to survive boredom, because purpose is not always thrilling. Sometimes it looks like doing the same useful action again and again without immediate reward. It is writing another page, practicing another hour, making another careful decision, or returning to the routine after a disappointing result. Great change is often hidden inside ordinary repetition. You do not need to feel inspired every day. You need a structure that carries you when inspiration is absent. Create a daily routine connected to your purpose. Identify the one action that moves your life forward and protect time for it. Do it before distractions consume your attention. Make the action small enough to repeat, but meaningful enough to matter. A person who completes one valuable action daily will eventually move further than someone who waits for occasional bursts of motivation. You must also review your direction. Busy people can move quickly in the wrong direction. You may become efficient at tasks that no longer matter. You may keep achieving goals only because you never pause to ask whether you still want the destination. Take time to examine your life. Ask whether your daily choices reflect your stated values. Ask what is draining your energy without giving anything meaningful in return. Ask what you would regret neglecting if another year passed exactly as the last one did. Honest reflection prevents you from waking up years later with achievements you never truly wanted. Purpose should not become a prison. You are allowed to adjust your direction when wisdom grows. Changing your mind is not always weakness. Sometimes it means you finally understand yourself more clearly. The important thing is not to move forever in one unchanging direction. It is to live intentionally rather than accidentally. An intentional life does not happen because every detail is perfectly planned. It happens because you repeatedly choose what matters over what merely distracts you. When your life has purpose, happiness changes. You stop expecting every moment to feel pleasant. You begin finding satisfaction in effort, progress, contribution, and alignment. A hard day can still be a good day because you honored your values. A tiring season can still be meaningful because you are building something that deserves patience. This deeper happiness is more stable than excitement. Excitement depends on novelty, but meaning can survive repetition. Pleasure disappears when the experience ends, but purpose continues shaping you long afterward. You may still feel sad, frustrated, or uncertain. Purpose does not remove your humanity. It gives those emotions a place inside a life that is larger than them. When you wake up, you no longer ask only, "How do I feel today?" You also ask, "What deserves my attention today? What can I move forward? Who can I help? What kind of person will I practice becoming?" These questions return power to you. You may not control what the day brings, but you can control what you bring to the day. You can bring discipline, kindness, courage, focus, patience, and honest effort. These qualities make a day meaningful even when the outcome is not perfect. Do not wait until you discover one grand mission before living with purpose. Choose a direction now. Improve something, create something, serve someone, keep a promise, face a weakness, build a skill, protect a value. Then repeat. A meaningful life is built through many days that looked ordinary while you were living them. Only later do you realize that those small choices created your character, relationships, work, and future. Comfort alone will never completely satisfy you because you were not designed only to consume, relax, and be entertained. A part of you wants to grow, contribute, overcome, and become useful. When you ignore that part, emptiness enters even the easiest life. Listen to that restlessness. It may not be telling you that your life is hopeless. It may be telling you that your life needs direction. You do not need to transform everything overnight. Begin by choosing one reason to get up with intention. Let that reason become a responsibility. Let that responsibility become a habit. Let that habit slowly shape a life you respect. Purpose is not something that merely fills your schedule. It fills your effort with meaning. When you have a reason to move, you stop needing every day to entertain you. When you know what you are building, you stop allowing small problems to consume your entire mind. When your actions reflect your values, happiness stops being a temporary emotion and becomes the quiet confidence that your life is being used well. A comfortable life may protect you from struggle, but only a purposeful life can protect you from emptiness. Choose something worth growing for, something worth serving, and something worth continuing even when nobody is watching. That is how you stop merely passing time and begin living in a way that makes your time matter. Chapter 8. End every day without carrying its weight into tomorrow. Many people do not finish their day when the evening ends. Their body lies down, but their mind continues living inside every conversation, mistake, disappointment, and unfinished responsibility. They replay what someone said, imagine what they should have answered, worry about what may happen next, and punish themselves for everything that did not go according to plan. The room may be quiet, but their thoughts remain loud. This is why some people wake up tired even after spending many hours in bed. Their body was resting, but their mind was still working. It was carrying yesterday into the night and then carrying the night into tomorrow. The new day begins before the previous one has been emotionally closed. If you want to become happier, you must learn how to end a day. Ending a day does not mean every problem has been solved. It does not mean every task has been completed, every misunderstanding has been corrected, or every painful feeling has disappeared. It means you decide that what cannot be handled tonight will not be allowed to destroy tonight. There is wisdom in knowing when to stop. Some problems need effort, but not at midnight. Some conversations need reflection, but not endless replaying. Some decisions deserve careful thought, but not when your mind is exhausted and your emotions are at their weakest. When you are tired, your problems often appear larger than they truly are. A small uncertainty begins to feel like a disaster. One mistake starts looking like proof that your entire life is going wrong. A delayed result becomes evidence that you will never succeed. Fatigue changes your perspective. This is why you must stop believing every thought that arrives late at night. The mind becomes more dramatic when the body needs rest. It searches for danger, repeats painful memories, and imagines negative outcomes because it no longer has the energy to think clearly. What feels impossible at night may feel manageable in the morning. Before you allow a tired mind to make serious conclusions about your life, give yourself the chance to sleep. Rest is not avoidance, it is preparation to face reality with greater strength. You do not need to solve tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. Many people carry the day because they believe worrying is a form of responsibility. They think that if they stop thinking about the problem, they are becoming careless. But constant thought does not always create a solution. Sometimes it only creates emotional exhaustion. There is a difference between useful reflection and destructive rumination. Useful reflection asks, what happened, what can I learn, and what should I do next? Destructive rumination repeats, why did this happen to me? Why am I always like this? What if everything becomes worse? One leads toward action, the other keeps you trapped in pain. At the end of the day, ask whether your thoughts are helping you understand something or merely forcing you to suffer again. If there is a practical step you can take, write it down and handle it at the appropriate time. If there is no useful action available tonight, release the thought until you are able to respond wisely. Writing things down can be powerful because it gives your mind permission to stop holding everything. When you keep every task, fear, appointment, and responsibility inside your head, your brain remains alert because it is afraid you may forget something important. Create a simple list for tomorrow. Write down what needs your attention, what can wait, and what is not your responsibility at all. Once it is written, remind yourself that you do not need to continue carrying it mentally. The page can hold it for you until morning. Your mind deserves moments when it is not required to remember, plan, calculate, or prepare. You must also learn how to release mistakes. Many people treat themselves with a cruelty they would never use against someone they love. They remember one embarrassing moment and replay it for years. They make a poor choice and turn it into a permanent identity. Instead of saying, I handled that situation badly, they say, I am a failure. A mistake is something you did. It is not the complete definition of who you are. You cannot change what happened by attacking yourself repeatedly. Shame may make you feel as though you are taking responsibility, but endless self-punishment often prevents real growth. When you are consumed by shame, your attention remains focused on how terrible you feel, instead of what you need to change. Responsibility is different. Responsibility says, I was wrong, I understand the harm. I will repair what I can, learn what this experience is teaching me, and behave differently next time. This approach is stronger because it leads somewhere. The purpose of remembering a mistake is to extract wisdom from it, not to reopen the wound every night. Once you understand the lesson, stop using the memory as a weapon against yourself. You are allowed to outgrow the person who made the mistake. You are allowed to become wiser without remaining emotionally imprisoned by your past. You are allowed to regret something without believing you deserve to suffer forever. Think about how many decisions you made using the awareness, confidence, and emotional strength you had at that time. Perhaps you were afraid, inexperienced, lonely, confused, or desperate to be accepted. This does not excuse harmful behavior, but it helps you understand it. Understanding creates the possibility of change. You cannot return to the past and give your younger self the wisdom you possess today. You can only use that wisdom in the life still in front of you. Do not demand that the person you once were should have known everything you know now. Forgive your past self for learning slowly. Forgive yourself for trusting the wrong person, ignoring a warning, staying too long, leaving too early, speaking emotionally, or remaining silent when you should have spoken. Then turn the regret into a rule for the future. Tell yourself, because I experienced this, I will pay closer attention next time. I will communicate sooner. I will respect my instincts. I will ask better questions. I will stop abandoning myself to keep someone else comfortable. Pain becomes useful when it produces wisdom. Another weight people carry into tomorrow is the behavior of others. Someone disappointed you during the day, and long after they have left, they continue living inside your mind. You replay their words, imagine arguments, and try to understand why they acted that way. You may spend hours emotionally reacting to someone who is peacefully sleeping without thinking about the situation at all. This is how another person's actions steal more of your life than the original moment deserved. You cannot always control what people do, but you can decide how long they are allowed to occupy your attention. Their behavior may have hurt you, but you do not need to give it the entire evening, the entire night, and the first moments of tomorrow. Sometimes closure is not receiving the explanation you wanted. It is deciding that the situation has already taken enough from you. There are people who will never provide an honest answer. They may avoid responsibility, distort the truth, or pretend nothing happened. If your peace depends on their apology, understanding, or regret, you may remain trapped for a very long time. You must learn to create internal closure. Internal closure says, I may never fully understand why they behaved that way, but I understand what the experience showed me. I know how it affected me, what boundary it requires, and what I will no longer accept. You do not need every unanswered question to be resolved before you move forward. Sometimes the lesson is the answer. The person showed inconsistency, dishonesty, disrespect, or emotional immaturity. Their pattern may already be the clarity you keep asking them to explain. Stop begging confusing behavior to become understandable. Accept what the actions revealed, protect yourself accordingly, and allow the day to end. Releasing someone from your thoughts does not mean what they did was acceptable. It means you refuse to continue harming yourself through constant mental replay. Forgiveness can help you sleep, but forgiveness must not be misunderstood. Forgiveness does not require inviting someone back into your life. It does not mean removing every consequence or pretending trust has not been damaged. You can forgive and still maintain distance. You can release anger and still remember the lesson. You can wish someone well without giving them access to your peace. Forgiveness is often less about what the other person deserves and more about what your mind needs. Resentment keeps your nervous system tied to an old event. Every replay tells your body that the danger is happening again. Your heart rate changes, your muscles tighten, and your emotions return, as if the experience were still present. The event may be over, but your body continues responding because your mind keeps reopening it. Release does not always happen in one moment. Sometimes it is a decision you make repeatedly. You say, I am not carrying this conversation again tonight. When the memory returns, you notice it without feeding it. You remind yourself that you have already learned what you needed. Then you redirect your attention toward rest. This may need to happen many times before the thought loses its power. Do not become discouraged. Each time you refuse to follow the old mental path, you weaken it. You are teaching your mind that the past no longer deserves unlimited access to the present. The end of the day is also a time to release what remained unfinished. There will always be another task, another message, another goal, and another improvement you could make. If you believe you can rest only after everything is complete, you will never truly rest. Life is never completely finished. Even on a productive day, something will remain. There will be laundry, paperwork, planning, studying, repairing, or responding still waiting. The answer is not to work until your body collapses. The answer is to decide what enough looks like for today. Enough does not mean you accomplished everything possible. It means you completed what was reasonable with the time, energy, and circumstances you had. Some days, enough will look impressive. You will move through your responsibilities with energy and focus. Other days, enough may mean you completed one important task, cared for yourself, and avoided making a difficult situation worse. Both days belong to a real human life. Stop measuring every day by your strongest day. You will not always possess the same energy, concentration, or emotional capacity. Your body and mind move through different seasons. You can remain disciplined without demanding perfection. Healthy discipline says, I will do what I can consistently. Destructive pressure says, nothing I do is enough unless I perform at my maximum every day. That pressure slowly turns your life into a place where rest feels like guilt and achievement never creates satisfaction. When you finish one goal, your mind immediately points toward the next. You are never allowed to feel proud because you believe pride will make you lazy. You keep moving, but never experience the journey. This is not ambition. It is emotional deprivation. You need moments of completion. At the end of the day, acknowledge what you did. Recognize the effort nobody else saw. Remember the moments when you wanted to quit but continued. Notice when you controlled a reaction, kept a promise, avoided an old habit, or did something small that moved your life forward. Your progress deserves to be witnessed, even when you are the only person who sees it. Do not allow your mind to remember only what went wrong. The brain has a natural tendency to focus on threats and mistakes because it wants to protect you. But if you do not consciously balance this tendency, one difficult moment will erase an entire day of effort. You may complete 10 things successfully and lie awake, thinking only about the one thing you forgot. You may receive kindness from several people and remain focused on the one person who seemed distant. You may make steady progress and dismiss it because the final result has not arrived. This creates a distorted picture of your life. Before sleeping, ask yourself, what went right today that I almost ignored? Perhaps you arrived on time, completed difficult work, remained patient, prepared a meal, spoke honestly, rested when your body needed it, or resisted a thought that once controlled you. These things matter. Training your mind to notice them does not make you naive. It makes your view of the day more accurate. Gratitude can become part of this practice, but do not force yourself to create dramatic statements. Gratitude can be simple and honest. You may be grateful that the day ended without the disaster you feared. You may be grateful for one peaceful conversation, a safe journey, a healthy meal, a lesson, or the chance to try again tomorrow. Some days, gratitude will feel natural. Other days, you may struggle to find it. On those days, begin with what remained. You are still breathing. You still have the possibility of making another decision. You still possess some ability to respond differently tomorrow. Gratitude does not erase difficulty. It prevents difficulty from becoming the only thing you can see. Your evening routine can also teach your body that the day is ending. Many people move directly from noise, work, social media, and emotional stimulation into bed. Their body may lie down, but their nervous system has not received any signal that it is safe to relax. Create a transition. Dim the lights. Reduce unnecessary noise. Place your phone away from your bed. Wash your face, stretch gently, read something calming, or sit quietly for a few minutes. The specific routine matters less than the repeated message. The demands of the day are closing. Your body learns through repetition. When you repeat the same calming actions, they become a signal that alertness is no longer required. Protect this period from unnecessary stimulation. A late-night argument, disturbing video, upsetting message, or endless scrolling session may appear harmless, but it can fill your mind with emotional material just before sleep. You then wonder why your thoughts are restless. The final things you consume often become the thoughts your mind continues processing in the darkness. Choose carefully what you allow into your mind before rest. The world will still be available tomorrow. Every message does not require an immediate response. Every piece of news does not need to enter your home at night. Create a time when your attention belongs to you again. This boundary may feel difficult if you are accustomed to constant connection. You may worry that you are missing something important, but most things can wait. Your mind cannot experience peace if it is permanently available to everyone. There must be a point when you close the door, not because you do not care, but because your ability to care tomorrow depends on your willingness to recover tonight. Rest is part of responsibility. A tired mind communicates poorly, reacts more emotionally, makes weaker decisions, and struggles to manage ordinary stress. By protecting your sleep, you are not avoiding your duties. You are strengthening your ability to perform them. You should also avoid making important emotional decisions at the end of a difficult day. When you are hurt, lonely, angry, or exhausted, you may feel an urgent need to send a message, end a relationship, abandon a goal, or say something you cannot take back. Urgency is not always wisdom. Tell yourself, I am allowed to feel this, but I do not need to act on it tonight. Give the emotion time to settle. A feeling can be completely valid without being a reliable guide for immediate action. Tomorrow, the issue may still require a decision, but you will approach it with more clarity. Many disasters begin because someone treated a temporary emotion like a permanent truth. They felt rejected and sent an angry message. They felt discouraged and abandoned months of progress. They felt lonely and returned to a person who had repeatedly harmed them. Create a rule that protects you. When emotions are intense and your body is exhausted, pause major decisions. Sleep before choosing. Rest creates distance, and distance allows wisdom to enter. Ending the day also requires accepting that you cannot control what tomorrow will bring. Some people stay awake mentally rehearsing every possible situation because they believe preparation will protect them from uncertainty. They imagine conversations, disasters, rejection, failure, and loss. They try to predict every response so they will never be surprised. But life cannot be completely rehearsed. No amount of worry can guarantee that tomorrow will obey your plans. The only thing excessive preparation guarantees is that you experience tomorrow's possible pain before tomorrow even begins. Prepare where preparation is useful, then stop. You can organize your schedule, set an alarm, gather what you need, and decide your priorities. After that, surrender what remains beyond your control. You do not need to know exactly how every situation will unfold. You need confidence that you can respond when it does. This is a healthier form of security. Instead of saying, I must predict everything, tell yourself, whatever tomorrow brings, I will meet it one moment at a time. You have already survived days you once feared. You handled conversations you did not feel ready for, adapted to changes you did not choose, and continued after disappointments you thought would destroy you. Tomorrow does not require you to possess every answer tonight. It only requires you to arrive rested enough to take the next step. There is deep peace in allowing tomorrow to remain tomorrow. When your mind tries to enter it early, gently bring yourself back to the room, the bed, and the breath you are taking now. Remind yourself that this moment contains no immediate emergency. Your mind may be imagining danger, but imagination is not the same as reality. Look around you. Notice the actual environment. Feel the support beneath your body. Slow your breathing. Tell yourself, in this moment, I am here. The problem is not happening right now. I am allowed to rest. This grounds you in the present. A useful evening reflection can include 3 questions. First, ask, what did today teach me? Every day contains information. Perhaps you learned that you need stronger boundaries, better preparation, more patience, or less time around a certain person. Perhaps you discovered that something you feared was manageable, or that a habit is affecting you more than you realized. Do not turn the lesson into criticism. Turn it into direction. Second, ask, what did I do well? This question prevents your mind from rewriting the day as a complete failure. Recognize effort, restraint, progress, honesty, courage, and consistency. Third, ask, what am I willing to release tonight? It may be an argument, a mistake, an unanswered message, an unfinished task, or fear about something you cannot control. Name it clearly. Then say, I will return to this when I have the ability to handle it. Tonight, I am releasing it. This ritual creates emotional closure. Some days will resist closure because the pain is deep. You may be grieving, experiencing uncertainty, or carrying a wound that cannot be placed aside through one simple practice. On these nights, do not pressure yourself to feel completely peaceful. The goal is not to force your heart into silence. The goal is to treat yourself gently while the heart is speaking. You may cry, you may write, you may pray, you may sit quietly with the feeling. Allow the emotion to move without creating a larger story around it. Sadness can be present without meaning your life will always be sad. Fear can be present without meaning disaster is certain. The difficult emotion is a visitor, not a permanent owner. Tell yourself, this is what I feel tonight. It is not the complete truth of my future. You do not need to become afraid of sadness. Sometimes sadness is the mind processing loss, disappointment, or change. The more you fight it, the louder it can become. Let the feeling exist without feeding it with catastrophic thoughts. There is a difference between saying, I feel lonely tonight, and saying, I will always be alone. The first statement describes an emotion. The second turns the emotion into a life sentence. Be careful with the conclusions you make while hurting. Speak accurately. Say, this moment is difficult. I am learning to carry it. The feeling will change, even if it does not change immediately. This language leaves the door open for hope. You should also remember that happiness is not created only through exciting mornings and productive afternoons. It is created through peaceful endings. The way you end the day influences the way you begin the next one. When you sleep with unresolved mental noise, you often wake up already overwhelmed. Your first thought is connected to the problem you carried into bed. But when you create closure, tomorrow receives a cleaner beginning. You wake with more emotional space. The problem may still exist, but it is no longer mixed with exhaustion, midnight fear, and hours of mental repetition. A rested mind can often see options that an exhausted mind could not. This is why learning to release the day is not a small habit. It changes your relationship with time. You stop allowing every difficult experience to spread into the hours that follow it. One painful conversation no longer destroys the entire night. One mistake no longer poisons tomorrow. One disappointing day does not automatically become a disappointing week. You learn to contain experiences. You say, this happened today, but it does not deserve every day after it. That sentence is powerful because many people allow one moment to expand far beyond its actual size. The original pain may last minutes, but the replay lasts days. The event ends, but the internal conversation continues. Happiness requires knowing when an experience has already taken enough. You cannot always choose what enters your day, but you can choose what is allowed to leave with it. Let the criticism remain in today. Let the embarrassment remain in today. Let the delay, frustration, and unfinished work remain in today. Carry the lesson, but leave the emotional weight behind. This distinction matters. You should not forget everything. Some experiences contain important warnings, but you can remember without reliving. You can become wiser without remaining wounded in the same way. Take information into tomorrow, not punishment. Take a plan into tomorrow, not panic. Take self-respect into tomorrow, not resentment. The day does not need to be perfect for you to close it with peace. Perhaps you made mistakes. Perhaps you did not perform at your best. Perhaps someone disappointed you, or you disappointed yourself. Still, the day has ended. Nothing you do through midnight self-criticism can rebuild it. The only opportunity you possess is how you enter the next day. You can enter it exhausted from punishment, or you can enter it rested and prepared to make a better choice. Choose preparation. At night, speak to yourself like someone you are responsible for protecting. Say, you did not do everything perfectly, but you survived the day. You learned something. You still have another chance. This is not weakness, it is emotional maturity. A person who hates themselves after every mistake does not necessarily improve faster. Often, they become more afraid, more avoidant, and less willing to try. A person who can correct themselves without destroying themselves develops resilience. Resilience says, I can face the truth about today and still believe in tomorrow. You need both honesty and hope. Honesty helps you recognize what needs to change. Hope gives you the energy to change it. Without honesty, you repeat your mistakes. Without hope, you believe change is pointless. Bring both into your evening reflection. Say, this is where I fell short, and this is what I will do differently. This is where I showed strength, and this is what I will continue. Then let the day close. Imagine that every evening you are placing the day inside a box. You keep the lesson, record the task that still needs attention, and release what no longer serves you. You do not carry the entire box into bed. This mental practice may feel simple, but repeated over time, it can transform your emotional life. Your mind begins learning that every thought does not require immediate resolution, and every emotion does not need endless attention. You become capable of pausing. Pausing is one of the greatest forms of control. It prevents today's pain from creating tomorrow's mistake. It allows your nervous system to recover and your perspective to widen. Eventually, peace becomes less dependent on having an easy day. You know that even when the day is difficult, you possess a way to come home to yourself. You can reflect, release, rest, and begin again. That is the rhythm of a healthy life. Not every day will be successful. Not every night will feel completely calm. But every day can be given an ending, and every tomorrow can be approached as a fresh opportunity rather than an extension of yesterday's punishment. Your life is not one endless day. It is a series of beginnings and endings. You need both. The morning gives you permission to try. The night gives you permission to stop. Respect both moments. Work when it is time to work. Reflect when it is time to reflect. Rest when it is time to rest. Do not allow the demands of one part of life to consume all the others. At the end of tonight, remember this. You do not have to carry every unfinished task, painful word, uncertain outcome, and past mistake into tomorrow. You can put down what is heavy. You can say, today was imperfect, but it is complete. I have learned what I can. I have done what I could. What remains will be faced with a clearer mind. Then breathe deeply and allow the day to leave you. Tomorrow does not need the tired, guilty, and emotionally overwhelmed version of you. It needs the version that has rested, forgiven, and recovered enough to begin again. Release today so tomorrow can meet you without yesterday standing between you. Happiness is not a perfect life without pain, uncertainty, or disappointment. It is the quiet strength to remain present, protect your peace, and create meaning even while life is still unfinished. Stop waiting for the future to rescue you. Stop allowing negative thoughts, difficult people, and temporary problems to control the way you experience every day. Notice what is still good. Appreciate the moments that will never return. Build a purpose that gives your days direction and release each night before its weight follows you into tomorrow. Your mind becomes what you repeatedly teach it. Teach it to see hope instead of only problems. Teach it to create joy instead of waiting for it. Teach it that peace is possible even before everything becomes perfect. The life you are waiting to enjoy is already happening. Do not miss it. Begin today. Become present and create a happiness that no circumstance can easily take away.